Workers marched down Whitehall for better wages and lower prices. Around 17 million working days were lost to strikes in Britain between 1915 and 1918. There were strikes by miners in South Wales, engineers in Coventry, Sheffield and Manchester, and shipbuilders on Teesside, Tyneside and the Clyde. The army kept 200,000 troops in Britain to guard against invasion and civilian uprising. But David Lloyd George, as Minister of Munitions and then Prime Minister, preferred to give in to strikers rather than crush them. Father of the state pension and national insurance schemes, Lloyd George commanded working-class support. He used concession, not confrontation, to maintain industrial output. Negotiators with the unions were given strict instructions.
If a strike appears to be inevitable, all the concessions asked for should be granted.
But while Britain kept a lid on unrest, France could not. Throughout the First World War, Paris lived under the shadow of German invasion. But after 3 winters of fighting, France's stability was being undermined by a wave of stoppages and protests. Many of the dissenters were women who couldn't be intimidated by the threat of military service.
Everybody is complaining in Paris. People are on strike over the price rises and the lack of fuel. Can't you just hear the rising strains of revolution?
These troubles are justified, because while the people work themselves to death to scrape a living, the bosses and big industrialists are growing fat in record time. And all we can do is grin and bear it.
These ideas did reach the front, but what pushed the French army towards mutiny in 1917 was a history of poorly planned and ill-conducted battles. The final straw was a doomed attack devised by its own commander-in-chief, General Robert Georges Nivelle.
The offensive alone can give victory. The defensive gives only defeat and shame.
On the 16th of April 1917, Nivelle ordered over 1 million Frenchmen to attack a heavily defended German-held ridge known as the Chemin des Dames. After storming this ridge, Nivelle expected his armies to smash through 7 miles of German defences.
We were faced by a forest of wire. Machine guns appeared everywhere. There were traps of every description. The ground was impassable.
"40,000 Frenchmen were killed in the first days, but Nivelle ordered the assault to continue. Casualties reached 150,000 by the 5th of May. Then the men snapped.
I am one of the most persistent in spreading propaganda. I know that I am risking my hide, but by this means I might save it. My darling, say with me, down with the war that separates us, and long live the revolution that in bringing peace will reunite us. I love you, and I don't want to die.
The village of Coeuvres, 20 miles south of the Chemin des Dames. The mayor watched what happened when the 370th Infantry Regiment was ordered to the front.
The soldiers spilled out into the whole village, screaming with rage, firing rifles and singing the Internationale. Towards morning, they formed columns and made their way to the woods.
By June 1917, half the French army was affected. Men refused to return to the trenches.
We seemed absolutely powerless. From every section of the front, news arrived of regiments refusing to man their trenches. The slightest German attack would have been enough to tumble down our house of cards and bring the enemy to Paris.
But the Germans had no inkling of the French mutiny. It was a massive intelligence failure. Four days after their mutiny, the troops from Coeuvres gave themselves up at a nearby village.
They emerged from the wood in perfect order, in columns of 4, all flawlessly groomed and polished.
The French soldiers' actions were more like a strike than a mutiny. They won important concessions, better leave arrangements, more rest, improved medical conditions.
All we wanted was to call the government's attention to us, make it see that we're men and not beasts for the slaughterhouse.
Nivelle was sacked. His replacement, General Philippe Pétain, reversed French strategy, making defense the order of the day. The men were given patriotic instruction and reminded why they were fighting. But Pétain also knew that discipline had to be restored. The tactic was to execute a few, but force thousands to watch. Photographs taken secretly at a French military execution. A man is tied to a post. The order is given to fire. Soldiers are paraded past the body. Louis Flourac was one of the 49 death sentences carried out. He was shot here in Chacrys by his comrades, some of whom hated what they were doing.
I see the dead every single day in the trenches, but this is different. I'm a man who has shot his friends.
Italy's soldiers were also growing war-weary. But unlike its French counterpart, the Italian High Command saw punishment as the only way to maintain morale. Chief of Staff General Cadorna was merciless.
Every soldier must be convinced of the fact that his superior has the sacred duty to shoot all cowards and recalcitrants immediately.
Cadorna's iron grip led to massive discontent. For months it simmered below the surface, until the Battle of Caporetto in October 1917. The Italian army was hit here, in the Isonzo River Valley, by a massive Austro-Hungarian German attack. Resistance in armies took many forms. The Italians did